Here are 3 of the best compliments an employee could get from their manager. Number 1, thank you for always looking out for your team members and being such a positive influence around here. Number 2, thank you for taking such pride in your work, your attention to detail, and your commitment to giving our clients top-notch customer service does not go unnoticed, and we are so grateful. And number 3, thank you for coming to us with your ideas and your creativity. You trusting us with your ideas is how we grow around here, and I'm so proud of you for taking that chance.
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
Hey y'all, popping in real quick. Just want to make a quick little message for today. So this might be happening to anybody, but personally this is happening to me. If you're at a job where you feel like, year after year, I've been in my job for 2 years, and you feel like you just don't feel appreciated. Everything that you do, it doesn't ever seem to please the boss, and you just feel like, I'm going to look for something else. Always follow your inside voice. If you feel like you're underappreciated and underpaid, and you're working down to the bone, and your boss is not highly happy with you, the next step is to look for another job like myself. And just remember, even though you love your coworkers, you gotta love you first. So that's my message for today. Anybody dealing with a difficult boss, go ahead and get you something else.
If you are a hard worker, this video is definitely for you. If you are a hard worker, busting your behind, putting in time, going above and beyond, meeting the deadlines, doing all that you can to bring satisfaction on your job, knowing that you're approving your work. But the bigger person who's over you always gets the credit, but never acknowledges you in no way, shape, or form. Never send you an email, never offer you a gift card, never want to treat you out to dinner, never want to even just explain their gratitude towards the hard work that you are doing to meet all expectations on the job. Well, I got news for you guys. If you all know that you are hard workers and you're putting your best foot forward and you're giving your all and you're doing all that you can to prove not only your skill set, but you're proving to the workforce and those who are in operation that you have the willingness to succeed, to do all that you can, and they're not appreciating you, they're not acknowledging you, but yet they're quick to come and run to you when something's wrong, or when something's out of line, or when something's out of order. It is you that they come running to complain. It is you that they come to raise hell with. It is you that they always come to harass. It is you that they will always come and send you these old threatening emails about, if you don't get this done, you will be reprimanded based on the situation in hand in regards to what is going on. Yeah, they're quick. The upper management is quick to try to get you together when something's not right. But when you're doing right, you're never acknowledged. When you're doing right, you're never honored for it. But yet they take the credit for the greatness in which you have done. Let me tell you something what you do from this point on with people like that. And it's not about being rude. It's not about being disrespectful. You need to be direct, and you need to be able to speak up. Don't be intimidated, and don't be threatened based on the fact that, oh, I can't say anything because this person is the superior over me. No, you speak your mind and address the issue and let them know how you feel, because it is you who's representing the company and them.
Have you ever noticed that a lot of bosses don't recognize good performance? They only notice bad performance. Something goes right, they act like it's totally unremarkable, but if something goes wrong, they want their pound of flesh. Why do you think they do that? It's a power play. They think, well, they know that if they constantly push you onto the back foot, that it'll motivate you to always be wanting to catch up, which is abusive and arcane and bullshit. So do not be that boss.
If you feel like you're never getting recognized at work or promoted, I want to share some tips, because I felt like for the first half of my career, like I was really putting in the work, but I was never getting the promotion. I was just like always kind of being looked over. I started doing a few little things, and honestly, they really helped. So I'm going to share 2 of them really quick. So the first and biggest tip I can share is just you have to be visible. And I think this can be really hard for people that are more introverted or shy, because like we kind of just want to do our job, do our thing, and like be done. We don't like to be the center of attention. But I do feel like if you want to get those promotions and you want to get noticed for the work that you're doing, you kind of have to be a little loud in certain ways at work. Something that you can easily do is volunteer to do people favors, right? Your boss might need help with something. You maybe don't have the time, but if you're volunteering and putting it out there in like the work chat, everyone will see that you're volunteering, and then they'll kind of think of you as a team player who's always willing to help out. Also, studies show that people like you more if you do small favors for them, and they're also more likely to do small favors back for you. If you're always the person that's helping your boss out, when promotions come around, they're going to remember that and they're going to take that into account. And then the second piece of information that's like super easy to do is just shout people out at work. You lose nothing by shouting people out, and truly they remember it and they will just feel so much better about you, and then it just works in your favor. Just trust.
When I tell you I am so blessed with my job, I truly mean it. These 3 things, like, they're just a few of the things that stand out. So when I first got my job, I had only been there maybe 4 months. My old Mercedes, which was new, ended up having an issue, and it was on the side of the road, and my boss was like, we will have it towed here and have the diesel mechanics look if they can figure out what's wrong with it and see what we can do to help you. I was so taken back because I was like, what? Every other job that I've had, if I called them and told them, hey, I have car problems, they'd be like, okay, that's not my fault. How are you going to get here? I was so taken back. They were willing to do whatever it takes to try to help me. It was crazy. Then today, so another blessing, we get lunch every single day paid for by my company. We basically get to go out to eat every single day. We pick wherever we want. We get whatever we want. It's crazy. So some beans spilt in my car today, and I have a brand new Mercedes. It's only a few months old. Some beans spill, right? Not a big deal. I would come home and clean it, but he actually is our old diesel mechanic. I asked him to come help me grab everything out, and he seen that it spilled, and he was like, oh, go take your car to the truck shop. We're going to clean it up right now. I'm like, it's honestly okay. And he's like, no, go take it. I don't want your car to smell. I drove over there. He's literally standing there and sits there for 10 minutes making sure my car is completely clean. Making sure that there is not even a hint of what just happened there. He could have just grabbed the stuff like I had asked him and went inside and ate lunch and went on about his day. But no, he wanted to make sure that he got. And I'm just like, I just appreciate them. And then let me tell you about my girls at the front. They're sisters, and they are some country gals, okay? Country girls. And they bring fresh eggs, and they brought me like my own special ones the other day, and my husband loves them, and they know that. They know how much my husband loves these eggs, and they just like, it's just like, what did I do? What did I do to deserve all of y'all? Like, for real.
I thought it was totally normal not to hear thank you at work until I heard it and realized how it made me feel. So earlier in my career, I was a junior lawyer, and so I did a lot of work for a lot of people, doing research, writing, even making whole presentations that my name wasn't on and I wasn't going to deliver. And I got used to it. Like, you just do it and your paycheck is your thanks. But I went in-house, so I worked directly for a company. And so for some of the first times, I was talking to people, like colleagues, and giving them advice. And I was in a conversation and had talked through a situation. At the end of it, the person said, no, thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate you talking through this and giving me tips and also thinking about the human aspect. And I'd said, like, oh, no, just doing my job. And she said, stop. How you do your job matters. And you had the conversation. You helped me think about things differently, and I think we're going to get to a good outcome. But that really matters, so thank you. And I didn't realize how much those two words, thank you, how rarely I feel like I heard those in my career, but also how much they meant. And they were completely free. And she also CC'd my boss on a response and had said, just want you to know how great Ashley had done on this. And I took away from this, saying thank you and showing appreciation and giving people recognition. Those things are all completely free, but they can mean so much. And so I took that into my work, and I've loved doing that for others. So if you haven't done that, say thank you and give someone a shout out today.
Every time that I worked for a employer, I hardly heard thank you very much. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you this, thank you that. And it's just like, a thank you will not hurt. Especially if you are a good worker, thank yous do not hurt whatsoever. They actually encourage people to work harder, to continue what they do. But if you hear nothing, and instead it's just more tasks, more responsibilities with the same pay, it's like, nah, bro, I'm good.
Want recognition for your hard work? Try this visibility strategy. Here is a 3-pronged strategy to get visibility at work. By the way, my name is Ken. I help leaders break down barriers to work-life balance. The first step is not waiting on leadership to notice you. Start sending periodic updates for things that you're working on. Number 2 is highlight your impact on the team goals and business outcomes. And number 3, make sure that your contributions do align to the bigger picture. This shows that you're helping drive success for the company. It may feel a little weird at first, but if you were in the military before and you remember what was called your I'm Love Me book, it's a book you kept with all your achievements and everything you did good. This is kind of like that. You do have to track things that you do that contribute to your success and to the success of your business, your company. You can do it in a way that's not bragging or stealing any thunder from anybody else. Make sure you're authentic about it. Make sure you get recognized for what you do so you can be compensated appropriately. Let me know how you get recognized at work and follow for more.
A lot of people, and in particular women, tend to struggle to get the recognition that they deserve because they wait for it to happen to them. They want the world to be fair, for their performance to speak for itself, and for their manager to notice and recognize the impact that they're having. They don't tend to take as much proactive action as men do. Unfortunately, meritocracy on its own does not work. So in order to get the recognition that you deserve, you need to learn how to be proactive about communicating your achievements and progress to the right people. It's about understanding your value and strategically advocating for yourself. It's about networking and personal branding. I've shared a bunch of strategies on how you can do this on this account. However, if you want to dive deeper into the topic, take my course, The Professional Recognition Lab, using the link in bio. And if you complete it before February 14th, you could be one of the 3 winners of free career coaching sessions. Learn more about the course and how to win the coaching sessions using the link in bio.
If you feel like you have a complete lack of recognition and appreciation of work, this is a sign of one issue. Sign that you're not aligned to your ideal job. The top career psychologists in the country, and I see this all the time. Not aligned to your job psychologically, people will feel it. It results in lack of recognition and appreciation from your colleague. We won the #1 career counseling framework in the country because what we do is that we analyze your personality, your strengths, your brain chemistry, and essentially align it to your #1 career. This is the key to feeling fulfilled and purposeful in your job. We do this over 6 sessions. Each session identifies a specific insight that we need to identify your ideal career. For example, our client Sarah loved stability, loved consistency, and was very patient, but she was in a startup industry for her and her analysis. The things that we suggested to her was to move to a government job, and she is now thriving. Nothing to do with the job. It was all about the industry. To do this framework, you need to identify your ideal. There are no shortcuts.
A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's continue the video.
Post on LinkedIn. Go post on LinkedIn. Go post on LinkedIn. Tell people what you're doing. Tell people what you want to do. Showcase how valuable you are. Post on LinkedIn. Do it right now.
Corporate tip from an HR girl. Be careful how fast you are getting things done. People are looking at you, and sadly, the hardest working employees get rewarded with more work. For example, if someone writes you on Slack, they email you, you do not have to answer right away. That is getting them in the habit that you are always going to do that. So the moment you do not answer them right away, they are not going to like that. When I first started corporate America, when I would get an assignment, I would finish it so quick. And guess what I would get when I was done? More work. I'm not saying that you shouldn't work. You should work, but just be careful how quickly you are doing it. This is why I always tell you guys, the people who get promotions, get rewarded the most, aren't the people who do the most. They're the people who do half as much, and they talk about it twice as much. That's the only difference. And they are great at storytelling and using analytics. I think some people are like, girl, you mention KPIs and metrics all the time, because that's what corporations care about. They care about their numbers. How are you helping the company? They want to know how much money you save them. They want to know KPIs and metrics. Now I'm ranting, but you guys get my original point. And if you ever need help on strategizing whatever the HR issue may be, book a session with me. I'm always available on Saturdays to talk.
If you're doing a ton of work but getting no recognition, chances are you could work on your business acumen. Business acumen is your knowledge of your organization, how things work, how things get done, what's important to the business. How do your leaders view the business? How does Wall Street view your business? A lot of people get caught up in doing their work, putting their head down, and not thinking about the big picture of how they fit in. Because sometimes it's just easier to focus on what you do and not really think about what everyone else does. Because in some ways, sometimes it feels like it doesn't matter, but it does. When you don't understand the larger goals and how you fit in, it's harder for you to articulate your value. Don't assume people know the value that you bring. I see this all the time in biotech, where you have these brilliant scientists doing amazing work, but because they're not able to articulate how it connects to the overall business mission, and because they aren't aware of what their leadership actually cares about right now, they don't know how to connect their work back to those things. At any given time, there are things that are top of mind for the decision makers in your organization. They often communicate these things via town halls, emails, or they're discussed within leadership team meetings, which should get communicated down the line functions, but that doesn't always happen. So a good question to ask your manager is, what is top of mind for leadership right now? And if they don't have the answer, don't be afraid to ask your leadership. It's a great way to build relationship. Or if you see multiple initiatives getting rolled out, it's not a bad idea to ask, why is this important to the business right now? Or which of these initiatives do you think is most important to the business right now? Or you can ask questions like, what is our biggest hurdle? What is top of mind? Get to know these answers. And then think about how what you're working on connects to those problems. Solutions are great, but solutions without the context of what's going on right now are less valuable. Understand the context of what's going on and how you fit into it.
You ever noticed how some people inside the company just get all the recognition and all of the praise, and yet you're doing an amazing job and just getting absolutely none of it? That's because you have zero visibility inside the company, and the other person, unfortunately, has visibility inside the company. What do I mean by that? If a tree falls in the woods and there's no one there to hear it, did it really fall? The same applies to career. If you're doing a good job, if you're working on something important and you're making good progress to that goal, you need to communicate that to the team, to your boss, and to the company. You need to just be giving regular updates on the progress that's made. You need to be communicating the work that you're doing, and soon people will start to recognize, take notice, and equate you with doing important work. Whereas if you're just silently working away in the background, still doing good work, but you're not shouting about it, you're not communicating that, then other people will continue to get the praise and the recognition. And unfortunately, visibility leads to career opportunity. If no one knows what you're working on and knows how important you are to the company, it's very difficult for you to put forward a case for career advancement and those things. Visibility is easily worked on. It takes a few minutes a week to just communicate what you're working on and why it's important and the progress that you've made. Trust me, in 2024, start working on that and you will see opportunity open up inside the company.
Guys, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. The person who speaks the most, who expresses their ideas, their thoughts the most, get heard the most. It's as simple as that. If you feel unappreciated at work, talk about your accomplishments and various other things like that. Talk about your accomplishments all the time. It is better that you do that than not speak at all. Not speak on your accomplishments at all. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Remember that.
That employee that clocks in, does their job, and goes home was once the employee that went above and beyond, okay? And eventually somebody burnt them out, or eventually someone showed them that it's not worth it, okay? Because they work super hard, they pick up shifts, they do overtime, they're doing projects or training or additional assignments, whatever. They're doing all these things and they're not being recognized or appreciated. And eventually they said, okay, I see how this is going to be. I'm just going to do my job then. I'm going to fall in line and do what everybody else is doing, the bare minimum. And that's where they end up. And honestly, this is a failure from the company. The company is not recognizing, promoting, giving raises or appreciation to these employees. And they're saying, okay, I'm just going to sit back and do what I was hired to do. And then later get upset that these employees are not going above and beyond and doing additional responsibilities because
look what has happened. It's not worth it to them. For what? They're not getting more pay. They could at least get some recognition in another way, maybe a good review, and they're not even getting the basic things. So they eventually just fall back into this, I'm going to do my job, clock out, go home, and not stress about this job.
This is crazy. It only takes getting specifically recognized at work once a month for someone to feel super engaged at their company. To me, it's a crazy concept because that just means someone said, you did a good job for this. I appreciate it how you did this. You are bringing this to the team. That's a once a month. It seems like there's so many opportunities in a month to say those kind of things, and that one of my partners, Achievers, they do this amazing study on this, their emotional salary study, that it has to be called out that you need to do this once a month is crazy town, because that should just be a natural thing. But anyway, we all get caught up in life and business. So if you have a team, once a month, make sure you are telling someone why you value them and recognizing them for a piece of work that they did that added to your team that month.
Are you a resentful rock star at work? This is where your productivity is on point. You care about the work. Other people see you as that point person who knows everything, and you provide a ton of value for your company. And at the same time, you feel undervalued, underappreciated, and like you're not getting paid enough for all the different hats that you're wearing. The worst is when you actually get feedback on the work that you're doing, it's maybe negative or not the kind of praise that you were hoping for. If this sounds like you, then there's a good chance that you're a high performer who is starting to feel resentful about the work that you're doing. Feeling underappreciated at work is one of the main causes of burnout, and it can cause you to leave your job and find work elsewhere. So if you feel underappreciated or taken for granted at work, let me know down below in the comments why you think that's happening.
Peace. This is a friendly reminder, especially if you're feeling rejected, undervalued. When you're interacting with somebody or you're working in a company where you don't feel valued, that is a strong signal that there is a misalignment, because you have incredible value to give. You have an amazing set of experiences and strengths. And just because somebody doesn't see it or recognize it does not mean that it's not there. And this may be an opportunity to go and find the spaces and the people that see you for all that you are and are excited for what you can bring to a room. Hang in there and go find your people.
Nah, cause the way I'm feeling, like, I don't really fucking know why, but I just want to burst into tears, because I'm like, are y'all not taking me seriously at this fucking job? Like, I'm really fucking trying hard. Like, I am putting all. Like, the amount of jobs I worked in New York since I fucking have been in this fucking 6 years here, and y'all are not recognized the fucking hard ass work that I'm putting in is taking me up to here. And I feel like that's the reason I'm getting emotional, because I'm like, I'm really busting my ass. And at other jobs, I feel like I wasn't busting my ass, and that was like making sense as to why I wasn't like in the projected growth that I thought I should have been. But here, baby, I am busting my motherfucking ass. I'm working late. I'm putting in hours on extra projects that aren't even asked of me. And that's just because I want to be fucking recognized and seen for the fucking hard work that I'm doing. And even if I'm not being recognized or seen, like, goddamn.
Staying those extra hours of overtime is not going to get you that promotion. In fact, it's most likely going to keep you in that position longer. Because truth is, hard work is not always rewarded. Now you dug yourself into a hole because you're the one who keeps getting asked to stay extra hours because they know that you'll get the job done. You have to realize, even though you're confident in your job skill, you are not showing confidence on how others see your work. All because deep down, you genuinely feel that you're not ready for that promotion. And in order to feel ready, you start taking on extra tasks. You start taking on other people's work. You start surrounding yourself with external proof, all to show that you're more than capable of doing the job. Unfortunately, this is a vicious cycle. In order to start healing from this, you need to be the one that detaches from your work and start giving yourself that validation. Only then can you actually start putting energy into an actual solution, like advocating for yourself or networking rather than burning out.
Do you want to stop feeling like nobody recognizes you at work? Feeling like you're constantly just trying to be the perfect employee for your manager, but yet you never get ahead and you never get noticed for your work? My client struggled with this for years. She could never get ahead. She always took it personally, thought that she was the reason why she wasn't progressing. But after a month of us working together, we were able to fix this. I know you're probably thinking that if you could just figure out what your boss wants from you, or if you could just do everything he asks perfectly, that he would shower you with praise, you'd feel valued, you'd get the recognition that you deserved, right? But that's not actually the reason that you're not getting recognized. If you're burned out, if you're working extra hours, if you're trying to clean up everybody else's mess, or if you're taking on way too much responsibility from your manager, you're people pleasing and you probably have weak boundaries. Similar to those relationships that turn toxic if you don't have clear boundaries, the same can be said for your job. And companies often don't respect or promote people who have weak boundaries. The key to setting firm boundaries is by having a clear understanding of your value and what problem you solve for the company that you work for, and then using those to differentiate yourself from everybody else. When you do this, it's easy to be promoted or to land a better, higher quality position because you have a deep understanding of what your skill set is. And that is incredibly rare for most people, so it's easy for you to eliminate your competition.
I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.